Thank you.
Here we are. So, feel free to ask me anything about anything that you're interested in, what it is that you would like to experience as the most desirable outcome of connecting with me today.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much. I'm 53 years old, and I had a
Exactly
very,
my age.
very, sorry,
That's
exactly your
exactly my
age.
age.
Oh, goodness. Um, when I look at you, I'm not thinking Tibetan Lama at all, but somehow you say you have a family history with Tibet and all that. That was very intriguing to me. I thought
Yes,
I would love
I'm
to
half
learn.
Russian and half Ukrainian, but my
Really?
family
Okay.
comes from the Altai region of Siberia, on the
Okay.
border between Siberia and China and Mongolia. And that
Oh,
part of
okay.
Russia actually is traditionally a Tibetan Buddhist country, thanks to
Really?
Genghis Khan and his conquering of most of Asia, as you
Oh my
probably know.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
Mongols
Genghis Khan.
became Tibetan Buddhists. And to this day, most Mongols follow Tibetan Buddhist teachings.
Fascinating.
And it's not only in Mongolia
Didn't
that
know that.
Tibetan Buddhism is established as the traditional spiritual uh, religion or spiritual path, but also in several parts of Russia, including Kalmykia, which is in the European part of Russia,
Mhm.
and also Altai, or the part of Russia where my family comes from, and also Buryatia, which is on the east side of the Baikal Lake in Siberia. So it's not something that a lot of people know in the country, let alone anyone outside the country.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Yeah, говорю по-русски, but I
Yes,
learned a
was
little bit of Russian.
yes, was a
Здравствуйте.
говорю
Yes.
по-русски.
Of course, you are native speaker. I don't know. I can sing a song maybe in Russian. I learned in sixth, seventh, and eighth grade in the Russian embassy. My father said you should learn Russian. So my cousin, who was in her 20s then, and I was probably in, I don't know, maybe 13 years old, we would walk from home to the Russian embassy once a week to take classes.
Oh,
So it
so you
was
lived in
love.
New Delhi.
No, I lived in Chennai, Madras at that time. It was called Madras.
Oh, but so that there was a Russian embassy in Madras? Maybe
Yeah,
a Russian
not only
consulate.
a Russian embassy with a rich cultural tradition and heritage. And it was there when it was USSR, then it
Mhm.
became the Russian embassy. But not only was it there, our neighbors were the vice consul and his wife and his son, Kiryosha. So they were from the embassy and they were living next door to our house.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
very nice. Yeah. They were very,
Well, so what would you like to experience as the most desired outcome of connecting with me today, and perhaps what you would like to experience in the longer term?
thank you. I appreciate the invitation to share. Um, I have had a very tumultuous 30 years of married life. I'm actually a physician by profession.
Right.
Um, and my parents raised me to be very high functioning. They are very, sort of, they really do a lot for community, society, for everybody that, their people that they work with and so on. So there's a
Mm.
very, it's always about giving, and it's always about giving out from the inside, not just taking. But the relationship I was in was, I mean, I had a traditional Indian arranged marriage. They
Mm.
didn't pick him, I picked him. The arranged part was that the horoscopes were taken to astrologers, and you know how these weddings, I mean, you may have some idea. You have your name Somananda is actually it's a Hindu name, is it not? Somananda?
Yes.
And I guess it could be Buddhist too. Um,
It's actually the name of a tantric teacher
okay.
who was the teacher of Himalayan Shaivism, I believe, in the ninth century.
The Himalayan what?
Shaivism.
Shaivism, yes. Yes, yes, Kashmiri Shaivism, Advaita, and all that. Okay, very nice, lovely. I didn't know that. So it's fantastic. So that really, I mean, I'm just very impressed actually, to be honest with you. So you are a follower of Lord Shiva? You worship Lord Shiva too? Is that something that,
It
or
was
you were named after him?
it was the teacher who lived in the 9th century who followed Lord
Okay.
Shiva. I am actually a Tibetan Lama. I got ordained both in Nyingma tradition of Tibetan
Okay.
Buddhism as well as the Bon tradition of Tibetan shamanism.
Oh, okay.
And I also studied other types of Buddhism, both the Thai tradition, so-called Theravada, as well as the Japanese Nipponjin Mihoji. I got ordained also as a Bodhisattva monk in that tradition as well.
Okay. Wow. Bodhisattva. Fantastic. Sorry to ask you all these questions. I don't even know what you're talking about, so I have to go read quite a bit. Uh, uh, so I'll be brief. But the marriage destroyed my sort of confidence and my soul. It
Hmm,
just kind of, if you think of the drop of mercury, it was like taking a hammer to the mercury drop. It just split in all the directions. So I spent a lot of time putting myself back together, but along the way I have made some decisions that were um, they were very difficult decisions to make. And because my family paid a very big price for my wrong choice. My
hmm,
sister, who's 43, is still single. She lives with my parents. She takes care of them. It's been a very rough life for her. She's the youngest of the three daughters, the three of us. I'm the
right.
oldest. And so my parents have aged. They've cried buckets of tears of blood for 20 plus years. Then at 21 years of marriage, I left him. I separated. And
But
in
not divorced.
January, it'll be divorced as of last week,
Oh, okay.
finally. The
Congratulations.
divorce, thank you. I really appreciate that. In the meanwhile, I even got engaged,
Hmm.
and I have to make my way to the man. Whatever, that's a story for another day. We don't live in the same city, and it's really a meeting of the minds and the hearts more than anything else.
More than an
Uh,
astrological charts.
I think so.
More
I think something
apparently,
happened and our paths crossed. Yeah,
apparently
something
the
strange.
astrology is not all of it cracked up to be when it comes to arranging relationships.
Yes. I'm not sure I could have had a mature relationship when I was in my 20s. I think it has taken me a tremendous amount of time to understand. I still have a hard time changing. I think like all my chakras are stuck. Definitely, that is one diagnosis. So I've gained a tremendous amount of weight in the last 1 year, but it's not about weight loss that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Something happened to me, which was this happened to me about 3 4 years ago at the start of the pandemic, 3 years ago now,
Mhm.
three and a half. I was attacked repeatedly by biological weapons. These
Biological weapon.
biological, yeah,
Hmm.
at least that's what I think.
Well,
They're
you're a physician, you know
aerosolized.
better than me whether or
I'm
not you've been.
sorry.
You're a physician. You would know better than me whether you've been
Oh,
attacked by biological weapons.
well, I can tell you how I know. If you take this as my right foot, this is my right hand. You
Hmm.
can see these three toes in the middle, right? At the base of those three toes, there is an area of swelling because I'm taking all these supplements to flush it out of my body. So my immune system is working to push it out. Whatever it is, it's junk and it doesn't belong in the body. So the
Hmm.
body pushes it to the base of the toes, but it can't get it out of the body. And so what is happening is the foot has splayed, and then there is numbness on the bottom of the foot and all that. And I can tell based on this accumulation, but it is also they can manipulate it from the outside based on some electromagnetic energy. So I've had a tremendous decline in my health in the last 3 years because somebody wanted me dead and they didn't want it to be traced. Now I can go into why it happened, and I can go into why I was targeted, and all that. And that's kind of like a long story. And I'm not sure you want your time to be wasted with a long story from my part.
I would really like to understand the nature of the
Mhm.
experience. So you're saying that your foot is experiencing some swelling around the second, third, and fourth
Base of the
toes,
toes, yeah.
base of the toes. the joints. That's where
And
many
uh,
people also develop calluses. So, do you
yeah,
have any callus in that area, or is it just a swelling?
no, I just have swelling. I am hardly walking. I've gained a tremendous amount of weight. And the thing
Because
that
of
has
lack of
happened
mobility?
because of shortness of breath, I became very short of breath. And
Huh,
when I inhaled this poisonous substance for the first time, it went through my body like a toxin through the chakras.
huh,
So it went, yes, it went here, here. So first I'd have sinusitis, then I would have sore throat, then it would go into my lungs, I would have some sort of phlegm, mucousy stuff. Then
hmm,
it went into my heart like a myocarditis. And how I know this is because it felt like an elephant was putting its foot in the middle of my chest. So this would happen over hours or to days, like 3, 4 days. It would go through all the chakras. Then it would go into the epigastric region, and my stomach would swell out like this. Then would go around the umbilicus, and I would have. Then it would be like a band below. Then I would have severe diarrhea. So this time I would have, sort of some shortness of breath, and the symptoms were going from the chakra. And I've never had any kind of disease. I've had all kinds of diseases growing up in India. You can't escape when you grow up in India. And I don't say that in a disrespectful way. But coming here, this is the first time I had something that, how Alexander Litwin and co was poisoned with polonium 210, right?
right.
Now I understand what the chakras were for. They are for detoxing. You've heard of Vishakanya, right? Vishakanya.
I am not familiar with the term.
In the olden days when they had kings,
Hmm,
the kings would raise these young baby girls with
hmm,
little poison. Little they would build up the immunity. The poisons are actually peptides, so they would build up the body's recognition of the poison as self, so they
okay.
could load up these baby girls bodies with poison over a period of years.
Huh,
Then they would send them to an enemy, and the
hmm,
enemy would touch the woman, like she's a very attractive woman. They would touch her and they would drop dead
hmm.
because they couldn't take the amount of poison in her body. The point is, all these things. That's how they came to know about chakras. They figured out which is toxic, which causes death, like how is it eliminated, what is this whole chakra thing. That's what I'm guessing, because for the first time in my life, I could see how furiously my chakras, when it went through my heart rate went to the 30s. And I'm dying there, and I'm watching, and nobody like in my family could even believe it, because I've complained for 30 years about my you know husband, who was unfortunately a very, very seriously damaged soul. So there it was three souls in one body. So it's like being married to a three-headed rakshasa. Okay, I'm not, I mean, yes, like if you look at my life, I don't know why these things happen to me, but usually by this stage in life, you should have exhausted all your sanchita karma from previous, whatever, from previous birth, whatever. Anyway, I have a lot of prarabdha karma from this janmam. Definitely that is there, for a fact. But so what I was trying to say was, I was targeted, and they were watching me. There was actually a spy from England that came and spent a year, and he spent 3 years in Texas, but for 1 year he visited me every month, and he gave me business coaching, and he was a graduate of the Sandhurst Military Academy. So this was based on my discoveries. And I think that is why my discoveries were taken and given to China by someone here in the US who's in the pay of
Hmm.
the Chinese, very big person, and who is
Big
the
person,
mortal
meaning
enemy.
physically big, or
No,
energetically big, or famous,
politically.
politically
He is
big.
a mortal enemy of Vladimir Putin, President Putin.
But he gave your information to China, even though China is friends with Russia.
Yeah, he didn't do it because China is not going to give it to Russia, and China is not friends with anybody.
Okay.
China is not friends with anybody. Anyway, like I said, I don't want to get into the whole. Otherwise, why would they follow someone like me, right?
Right.
So many, I don't, I mean, I could get into the extraordinary detail of the last 3 years of my life. But like I said, I don't want to waste your time.
Well, you could
And
probably write a book about it. Sounds like you have an adventure of a lifetime.
I understand exactly what happened. And the thing was, when they started to follow me, they were only following me to figure out when I can figure out that they've given it to China. So
Hmm.
partly this pandemic was based on figuring, it was based on, so I proposed a concept of the human body. I got it patented. I've gifted the patent to India as of earlier this year,
Huh.
because of the trouble that I was subjected to living here, how I was attacked, and how I'm continuous they continue to electronically surveil me. And you know uh, like, it's very like, if I lose, they feel like they've won. I've tried to placate them, I've tried to be friends, I will continue to try until my dying day, because I'm nobody's enemy. I'm just here to lead a straight path. And if someone is doing something wrong, then I feel it's upon me to tell them, you cannot be doing things like this. You should not have stolen my patent and given it to China, even if they're paying you money,
Hmm.
and that was not yours to give. I don't care if you the one who laid the underground cables for the internet that I'm using. It doesn't matter. It's still my property. You don't have ownership. And then, so because they were following me and I didn't understand why they're following me, then I had to get into why would they be following me, and whether the pandemic was related to my patent. I think in part it was. I don't think the whole thing was. Then my friend Linda Evans and I, we basically, she did a lot of the, she brought the pieces and I put them together. So uh, we figured out what there were two pandemics simultaneously. One was the virus that was made in a lab in China and released to cause large scale mass chaos and confusion. And then the second one was a biological weapon, which is the one that I was attacked with repeatedly,
Hmm.
and that is still in my body. So the problem
So you
is,
believe that your
uh,
biological weapon that you've been attacked with is of a viral
repeatedly, more
nature?
than 30 times. No, it's not by, I've never tested positive for COVID. I've been tested three plus times.
Hmm.
3 4 times I think I've been tested. Yeah. In the
So
beginning,
it's not COVID, but could it be a virus of a different kind?
it's the long haul COVID. No, I don't think it's a virus, because the man that Mr. Trump imprisoned, his name is Professor Charles Lieber. He is a chemistry professor at Harvard University. Professor Charles Lieber was put in jail. He was a tenured professor of chemistry. He worked closely with China,
Hmm.
and Trump caught him in the act of handing over the vials of this biological weapon to the Chinese from Wuhan Institute. And what it is it's a phospholipid hook that attaches to nerve cells that can be triggered from the outside by electromagnetic stimuli, and
Interesting.
it can cause accelerated cancer, sudden death, all kinds of things.
And so, in a sense, it's not really biological weapon because it doesn't follow the
It's not a
pathway of a
Yeah, it's
pathogen.
not a living animal. Yeah, it's not a living creature that I can tell.
So it's more like a
But
chemical weapon.
chemical weapon, but it acts, somehow they've made it act like a biological thing. It can do something, like my friend Michelle Jones, who died of it.
Hmm.
Lady at 68 years old. She'd been widowed for over 30 years. Her husband was 35 years older than her, and he had died a long time ago.
Hmm.
And she was living with her dog. She was quite healthy. Then in 4 months, she was dead. This was 2 years ago. So 2021, I think,
Okay.
January to,
So
no, 2020, yeah, something. I can't remember now. 20 something.
l- let me suggest
2022.
something.
Yeah.
Can we refocus from discussing what happened in the past
Yeah. To
to
what
what
I
it is
want in the
you would
future.
like to experience in the future as a result
Yes,
of connecting
please.
with me?
Yes, please. I want to put my family back together. I want to give my younger sister a chance to live her life. I want
Hmm.
to return my parents' health to them. And I want to, I have whatever I've discovered, which is reversing kidney failure, but it's actually a cracking open of the door to human biological immortality.
Wow.
And it was given to me by God. I don't see, like, I mean, for the suffering that I endured, I suppose, with my husband.
mm,
And so that was the patent. And uh, so China was supposed to lead the world, right? That's why they sent it over to them. So anyway, I mean, like I said, I could talk about it for the next, I don't know, 20 hours. For me, for the future, I want to be healthy. I'm 269 pounds heavy,
mm,
which just in the last year, since January of this year, I've gained 50 plus pounds. At
mm,
night, I don't sleep well because I sleep on a recliner because sleeping flat since all this started was very, very difficult.
mm,
And I was already kind of really heavy, but I'd lost from
mm,
230, I'd come down to about 190, 180 for a few weeks. Then again, I gained back up to 210, where I was for about 6 months. And then from 210 to 270, like, when my parents left and went to India for 6 months, in literally 6 months, I like just ballooned. In the nights, I have a thyroid problem. So I want all my health issues to go away. And I'm willing to put in the effort and the time and the diet and the planning. I want to marry this man. I want to live happily ever after. I don't want to be a burden on anybody health wise. And I want to bring my vision to come, in my profession, what I have created, the discoveries I've made. I want to see that come into reality and into fruition.
mm.
And
And what
yeah,
would that look like?
there's 2 Nobel Prizes and a list of another 100, because we're blowing the ceiling off of modern Western medicine, literally blowing it up based on everything from India.
Fascinating. Well, that sounds like a profound transformation, if you will.
Thank you.
So, how long, realistically speaking, would you give yourself to achieve what you just managed described to me?
I think it'll need at least a year, honestly.
At
At
least a year.
least. At least a
Well,
year
it
for the
usually
weight
takes
to
longer
come
than
down.
that to get Nobel Prize.
Well, the Nobel Prize might be 2 to 3 years, yeah. But the weight loss is the most important thing. I don't want to be immobile. Like, I have like ankle, knee, and all these issues. If I tell you all my health history, you'll be like, how is it that you're still alive? Then if I tell you my parents' health history, you'll be like, how is it they're still alive? We have faced the most awful levels of stress and whatever, discrimination, people not wanting to help. So many bad things can be, right? So, I mean,
In the United
y-
States or India or elsewhere?
yeah, here.
In
In
your,
India, it was different kind of problem, but the issues are here. I mean, we don't ever talk about it in my family. Nobody says we had discrimination or something. We just go on to the next thing and try to be our best, because everybody has some sort of issue in their lives. If I talk about discrimination, there are so many American children that are born into horrible families or that have suffered so much. Like, who
hmm,
can talk about any suffering, right? Everybody has one or
right.
the other suffering. I
So
read your story, by the way, about how you got kidnapped, and I was shocked to read
it's
that.
just
That was
one of
shocking.
many things that happened in my life experience. As you can
Would love to
imagine,
learn
that's
more.
one of the reasons why I ended up receiving religious asylum in the United States.
Really? Wow.
And what I surmise from what you just told me is that there must be some profound reasons why you are experiencing the weight gain.
Yeah.
And as a physician, you probably connected the dots already between the cause and effect. So maybe you can share with me what you discovered in that respect.
So I don't think my thyroid. I have hypothyroidism from Hashimoto's thyroiditis.
Hmm.
I don't think it's well controlled. Um, how I know is because of, I feel cold in slightly cool weather.
Hmm.
So I'm supposed to take these medicines twice a day, and a regular doctor would not even prescribe them. There's some sort of, functional medicine type doctor that said, okay, why don't you try this and take it to until the point that your body feels warm. So I usually end up missing the second dose, which is why it's not well controlled. That's one part of it. The other part is,
That's what the
I had,
physicians usually refer to as the compliance issue with the patients.
eh, yeah, and doctors are the worst patients. I'm sure you've heard that
Right. Yes.
thing. I don't want to go see a doctor. I'm like, oh my gosh, go away. You don't know what you're doing. I know that you don't know because I know so much more. Like,
Yeah.
I
The
not so
physician
much
feel
more in
they
a, I know, right?
right.
Definitely. It's really shameful to see how I am, because until my early 20s, I was a basketball player. I was captain of basketball team in 12th standard. I would run for 3 to 4 hours a day. When I worked as a physician in the hospital, I would walk 10 miles a day inside of hospital.
No doubt.
So I had a very, very active life until my 40s.
Mm.
Then some knee the you know I had uh, so anyway, you're asking me what is causing my current weight situation. So
Right.
thyroid, not taking the second dose, is one direct cause.
Mhm.
The other thing is high levels of cortisol due to stress. I'm trying to take off entrepreneurially, and I have been trying about 6 7 years, maybe longer now,
Mm.
mainly to fund the kidney failure reversal clinical trial, because
I
that
see.
needs money, and I don't want to go sell it to a pharmaceutical I don't want to do that, right? So
Yeah.
to fund that, because I cannot, I mean, I haven't earned for since I went through multi-organ failure and near death at the age of 37. I haven't earned my own money, right?
Mm.
And so my parents have supported me since the age of 37 until 53. So
Mm.
I have really tried hard for the last 6 7 years to break into becoming an entrepreneur, and I have failed repeatedly. I've fallen on my butt, I've fallen on my nose.
Mm.
What I mean by that is I couldn't make it as an entrepreneur, but I'm thinking that this coming year, 2024, is going to be the different year. Like, I think I'm going to take off. I have some sort of an idea, some sort of a grip on reality, kind of. I'm starting to feel somewhat good about, okay, all those falls that I took, all that suffering that I went through, or not knowing, not understanding, and everything. It's
Mm.
finally starting to. And then, I was with John for 7 8 years as a student, with another man called Ryan Levesque for the last 2 years. But,
Mm.
they can't figure out this
All
thing
right.
for you. You've just got to fall, 200,000 times before. But I
Right.
think there's a possibility that I could take off in 2024. And it's finding the right business. That's what I realized. It was finding the right business.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think, this is the year. Again, it's not going to be, I mean, in the entire 2023, I've made $20 of my own by earning. So, and what I got net was 18 less the Stripe fee and all that. So,
Sure.
um, but it's better than zero, right? So, but I've learned a lot of things along the way. I've done some work for my family and some things for them. And
Mhm.
then I have learned how to battle these people that have been trying to take me out. And but more importantly, I've learned how to understand it from their viewpoint. But I will never understand the Chinese viewpoint, I think, in my life. But maybe someday that also I will learn and learn to. I mean, I have respect, no question about it. I have love and affection for them, no question about it.
Mm.
I will not forgive the things they've done to India after having taken from India for thousands of years.
Right.
I cannot easily forgive or forget that. And I feel the burden upon me to protect my fellow Indians, even though I'm a US citizen. The things that they can't see, I feel it upon me to protect them from. And then of course I have
China
my
is
child,
definitely
and yeah,
always happy to take as much as it can.
right. You said it right, Lama. I didn't say it. I was afraid to say anything about China because I don't know how close you are to China and to the Chinese. You might be
Well, I'm Tibetan
ancestrally also.
Lama, so just by definition, I'm not very friendly or warm to the Chinese.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying
One
that.
of the
I
reasons
will
why
tell
I
you.
don't use
I'll
Skype,
tell you. Look.
so I don't use Zoom because it's owned by the
Oh,
Chinese.
did not know that.
Oh yes, it was founded by
Really?
the Chinese. Yes.
I did not know that. I thought it was Indians. Oh
No,
my
it's the
goodness.
Chinese.
It's Chinese.
Yes.
We
Yes,
have
and
they are like 10 times more powerful and aggressive than Indians, maybe 1,000 times more aggressive. They're not, they're very, there's a lot of awareness and cultural growth that needs to happen. They really went back when they became communist 80 years ago. They went way back. They followed the West
totally.
and they went off all the way back into the dark ages, I think. So
Yes, definitely. So with that, I begin to understand a little bit about that you're not only looking for a way to manage your weight better,
energy. I need my energy back.
you also need your energy back, and you
I need
also
my,
want to clarify your business, what it is that you are offering, whom you're offering it to, and what
yeah,
is the dream that you would like to manifest with your business. It sounds like you want to be able to support your research project. By the way, I
yeah,
also am
clinical.
in the process of launching a research project in Europe, so I can
Great.
relate to what you're talking about. My research
Awesome.
project is a lot, hopefully, it's going to be a lot cheaper and easier than yours, because it's focusing on resilience, which is already well
Love that.
established research subject, and there's been a number of research projects dedicated to exploring resilience. It's just from point of view of what I know, which is quite different from the way that other people explore it. However, I can certainly see how dedicated you have to be to provide some kind of support to your research because, well, that's your legacy. Basically, it's not just you want to get a Nobel Prize for it, you actually want the humanity to benefit from it.
Yeah, we want to reverse kidney failure. If I told
Right.
you the numbers for kidney failure, you'd be so shocked.
Hmm.
In
Well,
India, there are 266 million people with kidney failure. Let's say
that's a lot.
5% of them need dialysis. Do you know how many doctors, kidney
Hmm.
doctors there are? 2,000.
Hmm.
Imagine the discrepancy between the number of people who need a kidney doctor
Hmm.
and the number of kidney doctors. It's just
Right.
not even fathomable.
And the
These people
number of
burn out.
dialysis machines is not even to be mentioned.
Not even to be mentioned. Like 10 years, if a nephrologist works for 10 years in India, at the end of it, they're burned out because 24 hours a day, somebody's calling them, I'm dying, doctor. I
Right.
didn't know that my kidneys had failed, whatever.
Well,
It's a
and it probably
horrible,
has
horrible.
to do, well, not only with the diet, but may also be influenced by parasites
Could
or
be.
as you talking about that may be some energetic influences, there may be also some viral infections. All of
So
the
in India, for the last 1,400 years, there have been invaders. For
mm,
1,000 years, it was the Muslims from that Makkah, Medina area. Then, for the last 400 years, it has been European colonizers. And so the European colonizers allowed India, the British allowed India to go through 30 famines. 30 famines where people were reduced to skin and bones. Many people, millions of Hindus, particularly, died.
mhm,
And Henry Kissinger was one of those people that was probably directly responsible for the death of that many 60 million Hindus and India, Bangladesh, and other people by supporting Pakistan. That was his, what do you call, policy contribution. Anyway, I don't want to talk about all that. The point is just that uh, when a person or their ancestor goes through famine, then epigenetically, 3, 5 generations later, they're singularly predisposed to diabetes, heart disease. So in India, one third of the population has diabetes, one half has heart disease. The amount of disease in India is so high, and it's because of being treated as inferior because the Indians are non-violent. They would
mhm,
not, they would rather allow themselves, which I was an Indian, right? Until 30 years ago. I'll always be an Indian in my heart. I ate the food grown on the soil for the first 23 years of my life. And
right,
so, uh, just because we were non-violent and we didn't hit out and we kept to ourselves and we were all about work or whatever, we were taken advantage of. And Our parents, everybody was abused and treated so badly.
Hmm.
We should have fought back. We went somewhere we went wrong. I think we underwent some sort of perversion. But on the
Yeah.
other hand, we got rid of the British without war, which the British is the country that leads the world in war and killing, right? If you look at how many people they have been responsible for the death of all over the planet, it's probably
Well,
close
I
to a
think the
billion.
Chinese and the Russians can compete with them.
Yeah, the Chinese probably can, but not a billion deaths. A billion deaths is, I mean, European largely, but most of it is maybe half a billion is British,
Hmm.
killing the American Indians, the Africans in Africa, in India, the Chinese, so many people, races they've killed all over the world, the Europeans, right,
Yes,
during the
and
world
if
wars and
not
everything.
directly, then through the diseases that they introduced, especially in the New World.
Right, exactly, definitely. And directly they did. I mean, otherwise, how do you get all the Indians, Native Americans into tribal nations, into these restricted areas, and like
Right,
as if they're caged animals into one small piece of land, and
right.
like not offer them social services, allow them to butcher their women, have so much of morbid obesity, diabetes. They have left so much of disease and death in their wake, that one nation. Anyway, like I said, I don't have hatred in my heart, but I have no fear about speaking the truth to their face. None whatsoever. If
Well,
you have
let's
to kill
focus
me
on,
because I'm speaking the truth, so be it.
if you don't mind, I would like us to focus, at least for the time being, right now,
Mm,
on what it is that you envision
yeah.
accomplishing along the path of your personal transformation. I
Yes.
cannot transform the history of the world, but I can certainly help you transform yourself. And that's something
Please.
that I would
Yes.
like to
Thanks.
help you with. And
Thank you. Appreciate that.
one of the ways that we can begin doing that is by practicing one simple principle.
Yes, sir.
It's so simple, it sounds like it's no brainer. Every kindergartner needs to learn about it before they go to the first class, the first grade in school.
Hmm.
And the principle is this, that
Yes, sir.
when we focus on things we don't resonate with,
Yes.
we experience more suffering.
Mm.
Basically, what is resonance? Well, everything is energy. Anyone who graduated from high school should know that everything is energy. It's just most people don't really live this truth or don't walk the talk, so to speak. But I teach and practice recognizing that everything that we perceive, everything that we experience are energy events.
Hmm.
Even right now, we're talking to each other, but I'm nothing but the blob of some photons on, on your computer screen and the voice coming out of the computer. So I'm an energy event,
Yeah.
and so are you. Everything that we experience in the context of our conversation or anywhere in our lives is essentially an energetic experience or energetic process. And
Right.
as you can imagine, I am practicing non duality, Advaita. Basically,
Me too.
when we focus on things we don't resonate with, it's not like that those are bad things. Sometimes what's good for one person may not be that good for another person. And vice versa, what we deem bad may be the gold for somebody else. As they
Right.
say, what's uh, a treasure for one person may be trash for another, or vice versa. So
Sure.
we learn how to basically recognize that everything is relative.
Hmm.
But from our subjective viewpoint, we may
Yes.
resonate with something more and something less. The tricky part is that most of us humans have been indoctrinated or just simply programmed to develop this tendency to focus on things we don't resonate with,
Yes.
either because we want to be cautious of those things that are dangerous and we want to get away from them, or we want to steer clear of some pitfalls or danger. unfortunately, we don't steer clear of those things that we focus on because, by definition, when we focus on something, it's like downhill skiing. When you focus on the one singular tree growing on the ski slope, thinking, oh, I need to avoid this tree, I need to avoid this tree, where do you think the skis are going?
Right there.
They're going straight to the tree. And so we learn how to basically recognize that, well, if this is how we cause ourselves grief,
Mm, definitely.
we need to exercise the freedom of choice as to what it is that we choose to focus on, because
Brilliant.
nobody forces us to focus on things that we don't resonate with. It's just our own programming is conditioning us to do it. So basically, we learn how to recognize how we experience a lot of grief, suffering, health issues, and other issues when we
Mhm.
focus on things we don't resonate with, even
Yep.
in relationships. And you
Yes.
may experience it in your own, maybe unique way, but most relationships have some trials and tribulations. Those people who focus on things they don't resonate with in regard to their partner or what he or she is doing or what's going on inside a relationship dynamics, the more they focus on that which they don't resonate with, the more they experience discontent and suffering,
Mm,
and causing suffering
yeah.
to the other person as well.
Right.
It's like cultures or nationalities. If the more we focus on the traits of another culture or another country that we don't resonate with, the more we wage
Right.
wars. If we
Exactly.
want to wage peace, what would be the solution, or what would be the focus of our attention?
You're not in Russia and Ukraine, getting them to the table because you're both. They may listen to you.
Yes, I know.
You probably, I'm sure you tried already.
And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I continue traveling to Europe. I've been there 5 times since the beginning of the war. Had to
I
extract
see.
my elderly parents
Oh
from
my God.
eastern Ukraine, right where the war is going on.
Oh my God.
And right
Where
now
are
they live
they with
in
you?
Denmark.
They're in Denmark.
Yes.
God
So,
bless them.
what is the solution to this pervasive tendency of humans to experience suffering and cause suffering? Well, the solution is really simple. Instead of focusing on that which we don't resonate with, we
Yeah.
actually learn to identify things that we do resonate with and develop the habit of giving them much more attention, or at least no less attention than the things that we don't resonate with. Basically, that's one of the outcomes of the popular kind of spiritual, non-religious, but rather positive spiritual attitude of practicing gratitude.
Yes.
Gratitude is exactly that. It's focusing on that which you resonate with. Now,
Hmm.
gratitude, by and large, is directed backwards towards the past. What
Right.
we learn is how to develop this sense of gratitude in the present moment and forward towards the future. What is it that
Really.
you would
Okay.
like to resonate with? What would you like
Yes.
to experience? What is it that you are looking forward to? The more you give attention to that, the more you give more energy to that, because where attention goes, energy flows. And
Right.
as we develop the attitude of focusing on that which we resonate with, guess what happens? We experience less suffering because we're not stuck focusing on things we don't feel grateful about. We experience greater ability to manifest things because we are feeding energy to that which we want to experience.
I've been focusing so much on these bad boys
I know. That's why I'm talking
that
to you.
I'm like, let the bad boys go to hell. Like, I don't care. I have done like more than a mother would do in telling them right from wrong. Like,
Right.
is it any of my business? It became when they made it their business to kill my friends and to attack me repeatedly. The fact that I survived is the miracle.
Right.
That's all because of my friends and my family,
Well,
of course, my family. Yeah.
absolutely. And so that sense of gratitude that just came through in your voice actually resonates very differently as
Yeah.
compared to when you talk about the bad boys, so to
The
speak.
big bad boys. Yeah.
Yeah, because even this is a dualistic way of looking at things, the good guys versus bad guys.
Right.
And of course, when you talk to the bad guys, they say, no, we're not the bad guys. They are the bad ones. We're the good ones. So basically,
Right.
there is no social agreement about what's good and what's bad. There's never been, ever since this meme, this virus of the mind came online. I blame the Persians for it. The Persians,
Wow. Mm-hmm.
they're the ones
Yeah.
who came up with um, the mythology associated with this perennial struggle between the
Mm.
forces of good and evil.
Really? Okay.
Yes, the ancient Persian belief called Zoroastrianism
Yes. Yes.
reportedly was the first. That's now my education speaking. I have a degree in cultural anthropology, and so um, the Zoroastrian religion purportedly was the first one that outlined this whole framework of the belief between in the perennial struggle between the forces of good and bad.
Mm.
And then, of course, it got codified in organized religions. So most organized religions have the same kind of black and white way of looking at things. If you look at the
Oh yeah.
Bible and the other Judeo-Christian belief systems, they talk about Adam and Eve who lived in paradise in harmony with each other, with the world around them, with the powers that be.
Yes.
They lived an immortal life. But then they got kicked out of paradise. Why did they get kicked out? Purportedly because they ate the fruit. But
Mm.
that's not the problem. The problem was that there was the fruit from what? The tree of knowledge. The knowledge of what? The knowledge of good and evil.
Oh.
So once they actually took that fruit, so to speak, metaphorically speaking, or they basically got poisoned by that mental virus
Right.
of separating things into black and white,
Right.
polarizing all perception into good or bad,
Right.
it can be no peace. It's impossible because you're involved in this metaphorical perennial struggle between the forces of good and bad, which by
Right.
definition never ends. Hence the idea of perennial struggle. So it basically is impossible to solve it. And that means that there's can be no peace until that virus has been removed, eradicated, or healed somehow. And that's basically the simple idea that allows us to return to paradise or restore peace when we solve this perennial struggle within our own consciousness, or simply stop polarizing things into good and bad. There's
Mm.
no way to live in peace. There is no way to be stress free or have resilience to that matter
Yeah.
if we separate things into good and bad and struggle against the bad, trying to protect the good.
Right.
Now, what's good
But
for one person may not be
some
good for
people are
another.
very bad people. Like,
And the bad people, if you talk to them, they say, no, we're not the bad ones. They're the ones that are bad. In America, they're about 50-50. Republicans and Democrats. The ones say, "Oh, those are the deplorables. They're the bad people." Kind of, that's, we are not like them. This is not American to be like them. And the other ones are like, "No, you're not American. You're not patriots." And so they just point the fingers at each other and they never resolve any kind of conflict. There's no way to resolve a conflict because they're locked in their perspective. They're stuck.
yeah.
They're fully associated with their mental folly.
Right.
And so we learn how to basically wean ourselves off of this way of thinking as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Just literally remove from our vocabulary these notions of good and bad. So even when we speak of anything or anyone, we actually talk about how much we resonate or how much we don't resonate, and it's all on the spectrum. And hardly ever do we encounter anything or anyone that is perfect 100% resonance.
Okay.
And
Fair enough.
also, we hardly ever encounter anything that is zero resonance. We probably would never even be able to cross paths with that which we have zero resonance with. So essentially,
I think my husband was definitely
one of them.
zero resonance. He made it
Well,
a
but
point
at one
to,
point you resonated with him. It's just things changed. And so what we
if
would
I
do
ever
is,
resonated,
well, you must have resonated, otherwise you wouldn't get married.
we would
No?
get married anyway. Yeah. No,
Well, it
I
wasn't the
think
start of it.
I thought I was resonated. Yeah, he definitely made it a point to be the opposite of me throughout the marriage,
Right.
and that somehow did not weaken him,
Mhm.
but it weakened me.
So what happens is that we also forget about one of the simplest truths, that everything is in flow. Everything changes. The most constant
Yeah,
thing in the universe, change. And so what we resonated with at one point in time, we may no longer resonate with today. And tomorrow, we will definitely have different resonance. We hope to grow, we hope to change, we hope to transform somehow. Well, by definition, we will resonate with differently with other things. It's just most people forget how much everything is constantly changing. And so they think that they can stick with old paradigms of thinking, old beliefs, old values that they used to value. And so one of the things that you will be experiencing when working with me is reevaluating your values,
yeah,
reassessing your beliefs, reorienting yourself in such a way that you will be able to follow the path of greater resonance, which makes it a lot easier to follow because the energy flows much easier in that direction. And
right.
so when we go against the flow, that's when we struggle and suffer. And that's how most people live their lives. They basically turn their lives into a nightmare. And you know how that works, how to turn life into a nightmare, or turn into dream into a nightmare. Just go against the flow of dreaming, and you're guaranteed to turn into a nightmare.
Yeah,
That's one of the key principles of dream yoga, because in dreams, everything is also energy, the energy of consciousness.
didn't have dreams for 20 years due to
Oh.
mold biotoxin illness. Only recently, with all the detox I've been doing for these bionanobots
Mm,
and mold toxin, which I had antibodies to 4 different types of molds,
mm,
and I had a positive anti-nuclear antibody, and I had Raynaud's syndrome. All this is new just in the last 3 years.
mm.
Um,
Can you hold for a moment?
sure.
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Worries.
So, to wrap up our conversation today, let me ask you if what I have just shared with you makes good sense to you.
Yes, it makes sense to me. I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm willing to try. I have a very open mind, and I do want to get on the positive side of life before it's too late. Um, so all this trachea collapsing in the night, causing the snoring, it's not here, which is what sleep apnea is. It's here.
Mm,
So how did the muscles of the trachea wall get weak? Like how did the lung, like the severe shortness of breath, right? That once I
mm,
get conditioned, once I do aerobic for 5, 10, 15 minutes, it gets better. So
mm.
like how did those muscles get so weak? How did the mitochondria become so drained of energy? Something was poisoning the mitochondria and is continuing to. And so I'm ready to resonate myself out of disease, out of ill health.
Mm.
And I have a very strong mind and I have a very strong spirit, thanks to my parents and thanks to mentors like John Asraf, Ryan Levesque, like yourself. And I'm ready to do the work to come out of it.
Wonderful.
So, yeah,
Um,
thank you. I
yeah,
appreciate that so much.
fantastic. Let me ask you this. You mentioned that you did some testing for antibodies in regard to molds. Do
Yeah.
you have any mold currently in your house?
Yes.
Because one of the things that I think is very detrimental to human health is exposure to mold.
Right. I
Simple as
agree.
that.
No, I
And
mean, here, this
if
house
you,
has been, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
oh, I'm just saying, if you continue being exposed to the same mold that's in your house, you may be having difficulty um, restoring your health. So
You're right.
have you noticed
The mold.
going elsewhere outside of your current location and noticing any changes in your health?
So this is my sister's home. My parents' home is next door. That's the house where I lived for most of the last 20 years.
Mhm,
Even though I was married, my child, right, I would run to my parents' house because I couldn't bring myself to go into our house because my husband's negative energy was so potent.
mm,
So the mold was in their house. So there I got when I had the antibodies, all of them testing positive. Then I got somebody to clean out the air ducts, change them. There was the return air in the attic, which was full of mold. They took it out and they put a new one. Um, and That's all. And then I put air purifiers. Here also, I put an air purifier. The mold here is temporary. It's in like dishes that haven't been done, kind of a deal.
mm,
Here, this house has been extensively treated for mold by the previous owners.
mhm,
So that is supposed to last a lifetime, is what they told us. So the
mm.
mold that is here is in the food and it's in dishes that have not washed and things like that. So, but I mean, I was going to, like, I'm going to have to do that. But you're right. I mean, even though there's an air purifier here and it's probably taking out the spores from the air, it's better to get it tested again at some point and either remediate it or leave the house. Definitely my parents and sister have disease. All of them have hernias. Even I was developing an epigastric hernia because of the mold toxin weakening the muscles in the both skeletal muscle and the smooth muscle in the walls of the respiratory tract.
Well, so that's exactly why I'm bringing it up. You were asking,
Thank you.
how is it that those muscles can become so weak? Well, that's the answer. Now,
You're
if
right.
we connect the dots, then the answer needs to lead us to some action.
Yes.
Well, what kind of action would that be? You don't have to answer this question right now. If you want to continue working with me in coaching capacity, I would be happy to work with you. You seem to be coachable.
Thank you.
And I
I
promised
appreciate that.
myself many, many years ago that I would only work with coachable people.
Thank you.
And
I
what
appreciate
I
that.
would be asking you to explore are the solutions. In other words, yes, we can identify what the problems are. But if we
Right.
just stay focusing on the problems, that's not going to be enough. We need to
Correct.
start focusing on solutions and actually
Absolutely.
taking action steps leading us in that direction. So basically, that's a no nonsense, no mumbo jumbo approach to life, and basically dream yoga as you expressed interest in it. It boils down to looking at life as a dream and applying the same principles that we can apply to our dreams to become awake and lucid and enlightened in our dreams. And we apply those same approaches to our daily life or this big dream that we call life. And that gives us the ability to also experience similar type of awakening and enlightenment in the lifetime. Now, that's something that obviously also can lead to living our lives less like a nightmare and a little
Yes.
bit more healthier and happier, or a lot more healthy and happier. Basically, that's what people refer to as living their dreams. Okay, well, let's learn how to live our lives as dreams. And that's
Absolutely.
basically, again, a very simple analogy that allows us to transform the quality of life and live our lives much healthier, happier, and more fulfilling.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah. Totally makes sense. Is there a part of this? I was looking at some of the videos, I think, from before, and you
Mm,
were teaching some young people how they could do qigong or something without
mm.
having to lift weights and helping them with weight loss and things like that.
Yeah,
Um, I'm wondering if I could follow, because standing and walking and all is very, very hard, which I still have to do. I have to do it. I haven't yet. I mean, I have poles, Can you imagine? Like, I never thought I would get this disabled, but I have poles. I also have something in my defense, which is somebody did this to me that just chose to attack me. So,
the mold may
um,
also contributing
and
to
mold,
that kind of
and I
weakness
think
as
mold,
well.
yeah, definitely mold had something contributing. But what has happened to the right foot is definitely not anything that I recognize as. I have a very intense degree of interoception, of understanding on the inside of my body.
Yeah.
It's not as great as some other people, but
Mhm.
because I've been through multi organ failure, near death, scarred kidneys, giant cell tumor in the knee, ovarian tumor with ovarian gangrene that was taken out. They left a staple. I had bowel obstruction, nearly died due
Well,
to sepsis and bowel obstruction. Like, so many things have happened, and a lot of them were doctor mistakes and things like that. I've had so much of a life as a patient. I've had to
number
learn
three
how to,
cause of death in America, isn't it?
yeah, doctors making mistakes.
Right.
Yeah, believe me, I didn't think they were related to me. I just thought, poor things, they were more tired, they were whatever. But
Mhm.
then, comes 2023, and I'm starting to think maybe it has something to do with my skin color, or the nationality, or the fact that I'm not Christian or something. I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with all those things. So
Also, you're
multiple
in
doctors.
Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm very open to learning. I'm ready to making the changes that are needed. I would love to. I'm seeing you drink green tea. I really like. Is that green tea? Is that green tea?
Believe it or not, it's actually pu'er.
Air?
Pu'er. Pu'er tea is the type of tea sometimes referred to as a red tea. It's
Oh,
spelled Puerh, I think,
okay.
or
Fascinating.
HR. Yeah, it's actually a name of a village, kind of on the border of Burma and China, Sichuan province. And
Okay.
pu'er is essentially the type of tea that is kind of similar to black tea, but it
Hmm.
actually is a little bit more fermented than the black tea.
I see. Fascinating.
At any rate,
I,
that's something that I would certainly incorporate into our coaching, the harmonious strength training and developing greater strength as well as endurance. Because
thank you.
obviously your body would benefit from both.
Yes.
Now, the weight management is not the primary focus of this practice. However, many people experience significant improvement in their conditions. As I mentioned, probably in one of my videos, one of the apprentices of mine named Stefan, who was actually featured in one of the videos, he lost
Yeah.
literally half of his weight. He was
That's
300
what I
pounds.
need. I need to lose half my weight. I need
He
to lose
was literally 300
130
pounds. Now
pounds.
he
Yeah,
is
that's literally
50.
fantastic. So I'm ready to lose half my weight. That was what I was just like. In fact, you sent it on the email that I got today. I
Oh,
think that's where I read his story. And I was like, oh my God, he sent it on the day I'm meeting him, this email that says you will lose. I was like, I'm sold because this is what I need. I know, and I understand you can't guarantee anything.
well,
But
of course,
if
it's
there
just
is
like
some
any physician
emotional,
cannot guarantee the healing of the patient. It's
yeah,
an inside job, healing.
totally.
Well, similarly, we learn how.
You deserve a Nobel Prize for that. What you just said.
Okay, well, we'll nominate each other for Nobel Prize. Uh,
That's right.
Essentially, we learn how to
I
take
will
charge of
gladly do
our
it.
health
Yeah.
because that is the source of empowerment.
Hmm.
When we point our fingers and saying they are responsible for my ills and they are responsible for my healing, we
Yeah.
basically don't take responsibility for ourselves. Now,
Hmm.
of course, there is this wonderful trillion dollar industry called insurance industry that
Oh
loves
yes.
people relegating their responsibility to somebody else.
Right.
That's what insurance is all about.
Right.
But we learn how to actually take
Hmm.
responsibility
I,
back.
I
It
never
doesn't
thought
feel
of it
great
like that.
because
How profound, Lama.
we cannot point a finger at others anymore and say they are responsible for my ills. We have to take responsibility, but that's the only way that we actually change things.
Right.
And so as we continue working with each other, you may also discover that you will be less and less focusing on the bad guys, so-called bad guys who've done something to you,
Yeah.
and taking more and more responsibility for your own health. And you will actually feel empowered. You will
That's what
feel
I
like,
need. I
well,
need
that's
that power
exactly
back.
what you're doing.
Like,
Yes, you will feel empowered, and you will
thank you.
also feel like, well, you have a locus of control now,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
if you don't take responsibility, there is no ability to control things or to
Yes.
change things. And so that is something that essentially will provide you the sense of self-agency.
Wow. Thank you.
And self-agency is the golden key, unlocking the doors to self-mastery. I hope you don't mind that.
Beautiful. I love everything you're saying, Lama. Yeah. Thank you
That
so much.
you're so welcome. Well, we were supposed to meet at John's event, so here we are.
Yeah.
Well, so let me ask you, is this the right time for you to begin working with me in coaching capacity?
Yes.
Well, would you like to start next week?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any particular times of the week or days of the week that would or would not work for you?
I think Wednesdays and Thursday afternoons or evenings are the best for me. Monday, Tuesday,
Okay.
and Fridays are horrible right now. Friday may lighten up a little later, but right now, I like today, I've had the full day literally since early this morning. I've been in
Wow.
meetings. Yeah.
Well, you keep yourself
I
busy. That's nice. At least it keeps you out of trouble.
don't know what
How
kind of
about
trouble I could get into, but okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
how about we find some time on Wednesdays? I
Sure.
usually work with all my coaching clients on a weekly basis. We
Okay.
meet for an hour on a regular basis, a time of the day and a day of the week that we designate, unless some changes happen. And of course, we can be flexible about that. Let me ask you, you said Wednesday would work for you, afternoons. Well,
or
there's
evenings.
2 hours difference between us. I'm on the West Coast, you're in Texas. Would 5 p.m. on Wednesday work for you?
My time, yes, I think it should.
Your time.
Yeah, 5 p.m. Central Time would be great. That would be
Right.
3 p.m. your time. Yeah,
Exactly.
I don't think
Okay.
there should be any problem. This
So we're
thing.
talking about Wednesday the 13th.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's do that. Let's meet at 5 p.m. your time on Wednesday the 13th.
Okay.
Of course, we want to also uh, make a commitment. I will make a commitment to you to work with you for at
Thank
least
you.
3 months. If you want to, I can make a
Thank you.
longer commitment. Obviously, less than 3 months is just not realistic to really engender any appreciable change.
Change. Yes.
But what I would like to do is basically, I'm going to send you a link to one of the pages on a website of mine. It's probably a different site from the one that you've been visiting because I have a number of sites. And this one will be the web page that gives you basically a choice. The choice of which of the uh, what length of time would work better for you. I charge a fair amount for my coaching. I understand that last year you made $20. That's not very much money, but I do charge for my work because I have to. I don't live in a monastery. I live in a house, and so there are bills to pay.
Of course.
Here's the link that I'm going to put right here in chat, and I can also
Okay.
send it to you by email to the web
Thank you.
page where you can uh, pick the length of time that you feel you resonate with. Um, Essentially, for 3 months, the charge would be $3,000. For 6 months, I actually give $500 discount just as a token of my appreciation of your commitment. So it's going to be 5,500. What would work better for you?
Um. Okay. I have to. Wow. I mean, it would be all due at this time for 3 months. All three
You
months.
also have the option to break it into monthly payments if that works better for you.
If we could do that, that would really help me out. And I pray that as soon as I start earning, I'll be able to pay more in advance. But at this moment of time, I think $1,000 a month would be, that right there is also hard for me to do because my parents are elderly. I've lived off of them for so long. And it's
Right.
a matter of great shame for me, but shame doesn't get us anywhere. So I have to take the action to come out of it.
Absolutely.
And I would
And shame is
appreciate
one
the
of those things that also happens when we focus on things we don't resonate with about
right.
ourselves.
Makes sense. Yeah,
And
makes
so we
sense.
learn how to also recognize that even when we look at ourselves, we have choice to focus on things we resonate with and feel grateful, or feel shame or disgust or some other emotions that come up when we focus on things that we don't resonate with.
Got it.
Now, like I mentioned, on my website, you actually will have a freedom of choice, not only in terms of the length of your commitment to this coaching program, but also whether or not you would like to pay it in one lump sum or in monthly payments. So
Thank you.
you
I
are welcome
appreciate your
to
agreeing to
take a
do it
look at it
monthly for me.
and decide
Thank you.
what works best.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much. I
You're so
appreciate you
welcome.
being able to accommodate my humble request.
You are absolutely welcome. And uh,
Thank you.
if that works for you, then perhaps before the end of this week, or definitely before Tuesday of next week, please decide what would work best for you. Take the action step in that direction. I will see that you made a payment. I will be notified automatically. Of course, I will
Okay.
also send you a confirmation email. We will be meeting just like today by Skype. As I mentioned, I don't use Zoom for one-on-one meetings, and
Okay.
we will get the ball rolling. Our first session may actually last a bit longer than an hour, just because we will be working on developing a game plan, a strategy for next year.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And if things work out, then there's no reason for me to stop because
Mhm.
I do appreciate this. I would much rather be working with a coach than a some sort of a, social worker or counselor type person.
Of
I
course.
haven't been for counseling for years, decades now, but
Mhm.
when I was living with my husband, I did for quite some time. I was the one who thought I was the one who was flawed and I went every week. So,
Mm.
but coaching would be, I think, in this stage in my life, much better. That chapter of my life is done and over with. And energetically, John has built me up into a much higher energy person as well. So I'm super
Oh,
grateful for that. Yeah.
that is actually a remarkable transformation right here. Just a little bit ago, maybe an hour ago, you were talking about him as being this terrible person who did you a lot of wrong, and that expression of gratitude for building strength within you. I think this is a remarkable example of coachability. So I think I made a right choice to decide to
Oh,
work.
oh, no, I was talking about John Asaraf. Sorry. How
Oh,
John
John.
Asaraf
Oh,
built me back
you're
up.
not talking
Yeah.
about your husband. You're talking about John
Oh,
Asaraf.
no,
Never
no.
mind.
But my husband actually, this is this shocking thing, right?
Uh,
When I lived with him, I felt like I was dying every moment, like right from the wedding day almost.
uh,
But and when I left him too, that effect persisted for eight. It took me 8 years to come out of the hole to be
mm,
able to leave him after I left him physically, right?
right.
But John helped, pull me
All right.
out. And then the one thing that I realized was dealing with my husband gave me a depth of intellect, which I'm not sure it is. I've been able to put it to full use,
Mm.
but I've at least partially used it. Because when you're dealing with a person with three souls in one body, you have to cultivate some. Anyway,
Yes, absolutely. You have to develop the ability to discern
yeah,
who you're dealing with. And
which I never
discernment
told him.
is the key to wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't figure out which element I was dealing with, but I certainly had to figure out how to get myself out safely
Hmm.
without being. I mean, I did keep going back because in our culture, of course, we never believed in divorce and those kinds of things. And in my mind, it was always I who was at fault. And that's how I was raised to, in a very cultured family where everybody took responsibility for their mistakes,
Hmm.
or they put themselves at wrong first before they would point an accusing finger at anybody else. But that was the opposite of the culture of some other people. So that's all.
I understand.
Thank you. Yeah. But John saved my life. I mean, he was definitely largely instrumental in helping me tremendously. My parents saved my life. They got
Mm.
me physically out of there. They gave me unconditional love and support. If they hadn't, I would have died because
Right.
the intensity of that hatred and rage that came out because of the internal suffering, right?
Absolutely.
Uh, But I didn't inflict it. I didn't inflict the suffering on him. That was inflicted by his ancestral and parental mistakes. So,
Well, karma is a bitch.
yeah, yeah, you never know. Like, what did I do to
Right.
him in a previous birth that he had the right to do this to me in this birth? But whatever, I accept that it's karma, and it's unseen. It's the invisible, the subtle, the sukshma, not the
Right.
sthula.
Indeed. Very well. Well, So
Thank you.
we seem to
Thank you, Lama.
have a pretty clear understanding where we're at and where we're going. If you have any
Awesome.
questions for me before we wrap up, please feel free to ask me anything.
Um, will there be any physical practices during the classes for
Yes,
energy?
absolutely.
I have a superstitious belief then with which I was raised that I shouldn't slap my thighs, that my father would die if that happened.
Hmm.
As a as
There's
a
no there is no obligation to slap your thighs.
Okay. I just want to make sure because I such a strange thing to say. But I have attended qigong free classes where they do this chi awakening by doing this, and then the thighs, and I'm like, what do I do for the thighs? What do I do for the thighs?
Yeah,
So
no
anyway,
worries. Your,
okay,
your thighs will be safe.
okay. My father's life, right? That I
Right,
don't care about the
absolutely.
thighs or thighs. Yeah, the thighs are like cheese. So
Okay.
anyway, thank you.
You're so
God
welcome.
bless you, Lama. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Blessings
Appreciate
to
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, I'll
Thank
see
you,
you
sir.
next Wednesday.
Yes, sir. See you next Wednesday. Thank you so much.
You're so
Appreciate you.
welcome.
God bless you.